This video will cover 4 key components. Firstly, what is the open systems perspective? Secondly, the key components of the open systems perspective, the benefits of the open systems perspective, and lastly, the comparison between the open systems perspective and the closed systems perspective.
Open systems perspective is defined as a system that constantly exchanges feedback with its external environment. It is a system that has external interactions such as taking information, energy, or materials into or out of the system boundary, depending on the discipline which defines the concept. An open system is contrasted with the concept of an isolated system which exchanges neither energy, matter, nor information with its environment. Open system is also known as constant volume system and flow system. Open systems are systems in which inputs, processes, outputs, goals, assessment, evaluation, learning are all important. Open systems theory originated in the natural sciences and subsequently spread to fields as diverse as computer science, engineering, and management. In contrast to closed systems, the open system perspective views an organization as the entity that takes input from the environment and transforms them. They then release them as outputs in tandem with complementary effects on the organization itself along with the environment in which the organization operates.
There are 5 key properties of the open systems perspective. The first key property of the open systems perspective is organization's inputs, the transformation process, and outputs. Organizational inputs include human, financial, physical, and information resources, as well as any other resource that goes into an organization's systems. These inputs are usually obtained from an organization's external environment. Inputs is followed by the transformation process, and refers to the process of converting inputs into outputs, and includes the internal operation of the organization that consists of both social and technological components. Social components consist of people and their relationship at work, as well as knowledge and information sharing. Technological components involve tools, techniques, and methods of production. Outputs then refer to the result of what is transformed by the system and sent to the environment. Boundaries are the second key property of the open systems perspective and refer to the borders and limits of a system. Open systems have soft boundaries because of the high levels of internal and external information exchange, which leads to feedback being exchanged and understood. Before we move on to the next key components of the open systems perspective, I'll quickly go through this diagram. So this diagram shows inputs coming into the organization system and being transformed into outputs going through the boundaries and into the organization's surroundings.
Feedback. Feedback is information about the actual performance or the result of the system. Properties of feedback. Feedback is a tool to find out how an organization is adapting or performing to a change. There are various types of feedback like customer feedback, which may include surveys, objective data feedback, which is statistical measurements, peer feedback, peer analysis sheet, performance rating. Subordinates. Upward feedback method is feedback on manager style and performance. Feedback is important for organizations to take into account because it enables evaluation performance, consistency, and to find out whether or not if there are any problems that they need to be fixed. For example, our group work consists of 5 people, and each person will fill out a peer assessment sheet. With the peer assessment sheet, it will tell us how each person performed in each group. Equifinality. In closed systems, there is a direct cause and effect relationship between the initial condition and the final state of system. The properties. The main idea of equifinality is similar results can be achieved in many different ways. Managers are able to use different forms of input and have them adapted or changed to reach a successful output. In other words, we all might have the same ideas for the organization, but we all want the same goal, that is success. Alignment. Alignment is a system's overall effectiveness to determine is determined by the extent to which the different parts are aligned with each other. This strategy ensures that all of the different divisions or departments of an organization all match or lines up with this strategy. A functional structure will not be a good fit with a strategy that is more effective for one division to focus on the project line than other manufacturing departments to try to make different products.
Now a recap on an open systems approach theory. Mazrak and Klein describe that an open systems theory states that every thriving system maintains a dynamic equilibrium between its subsystems and the larger environment. Change in any subsystem or in the system's larger environment will reverberate through the system, causing changes throughout. The benefits to an open systems approach include effective problem solving, effective leadership, effective communication, effective planning, effective design of products, projects and services, and effective organizational results. With an open systems approach, you're able to gain more effective problem-solving skills because you're not simply focusing on the problems caused by something, but by the processes and the procedures that enable the problem to arise. So the focus is not only on the variable involved, but the environment in which the problem arises and how to then solve this for the big picture. A great leader must have a working knowledge of their organization and how it runs in order for the organization to have a clear vision of the future operation. A good leader must have a specific direction that they wish to take the company or that's set out for the company. They have to have clear goals and be able to direct others on the path of the future of the company. The old saying that one cannot see the forest through the trees applies in this instance. So leaders and managers have to have a focus on the bigger picture for this organization. Related to effective leadership is communication, which is improved using an open systems approach. Feedback is, of course, an essential communication tool for the improvement in the quality of work. When a team or an organization starts to struggle with projects, it's usually due to insufficient communication or a lack of feedback. Part of the success of an open system is the constant feedback they receive from internal and external parties. The open systems approach enables an organization to plan more effectively as they look to the future goals of the company and the targets that they wish to achieve. In an open systems approach, the goals and the results of an organization that they hope to achieve are realized in the initial planning stage. Planning then takes place working backwards to achieve the desired results and the end goals. A systems approach places value on achieving results, and so designers and marketers have a stronger knowledge of and desire to produce better products, projects, and services. The end results are more highly valued than the day-to-day workings. Therefore, a designer's focus is more on what is needed to be achieved or produced in the end, and they don't place too much pressure on the daily workings. And lastly, a systems approach focuses on methods such as strategic planning, business planning, management and leadership development, team building, supervisory development, organizational and employee performance management, and principles of organizational change. In focusing on these methods, during projects, the desired results are more easily achieved. An end result will be achieved with a good understanding of the system and the environment in which the project or products are being produced. And on to the next.
Today I'll be talking about the two systems and comparing the two systems between open and closed systems. An open system interacts with its environment through giving and receiving information. Closed systems are closed off from the outside environment and all interaction and knowledge is transmitted within the closed system only. Closed systems can hamper growth since the flow of information stays within the system and has no chance to interact with or build on knowledge from the outer environment. The boundaries of an open system are when they interact with other systems or environments and are more flexible than those of closed systems, which are rigid and largely impenetrable. A closed system perspective views organizations as relatively and independent of environmental influences. For example, living organisms are considered open systems because they take in substances from the outside environment. This can be from an example of food and air and return from other substances to the environment. Humans, for example, inhale oxygen and out of the environment exhale carbon dioxide into the environment. Similarly, some organizations consume raw materials in the production of products and emit finished goods and pollution as a result. In contrast, a watch is an example of a closed system in that it is relatively self-contained, self-maintaining unit that has little interaction or exchanges with its outside environment. The closed system approach conceives of the organization as a system of management, technology, personnel, equipment, and materials, but tends to exclude competitors, suppliers, distributors, governmental regulators. This approach allows managers and organizational theorists to analyze problems by examining the internal structure of a business, with little consideration of the external environment. Up through 1960s, it was not that the managers ignored the outside environment, such as other organizations, markets, government regulations, and the like, but that their strategies and other decision-making processes gave relatively little consideration to the impact these external forces might have on the internal operations of an organization. While the closed system perspective was dominant through 1960s, organization scholarship and research subsequently emphasized the role of the environment. As an open system approach spread among organizational theorists, managers began incorporating these views into practice. Two early pioneers in this effort were Daniel Katz and Robert Kahn. Began viewing organizations as an open social systems with specialized and independent subsystems and processes of communication, feedback, management, and linking the subsystem. They argue that the closed system approach fails to take into account how organizations are reciprocally dependent on external environments. For example, external environments or environmental forces such as customers and competitors exert considerable influence on corporations, highlighting the essential relationship between an organization and its environment, as well as the importance of maintaining external inputs to achieve a stable organization. As an open system, an organization maintains its stability through feedback, which refers to information about the outputs that a system obtains as an input from its task environment. The feedback can be positive or negative and can lead to changes in the organization. It can lead to the changes in the way an organization transforms inputs to outputs. The difference between closed systems and open systems then is the complexity of environmental interactions. Closed systems assume relatively little complexity, So therefore, business have transitioned over time from a closed system to an open system due to the importance of the environment.